Next up, we have the brilliant Norris Henderson. He was wrongfully incarcerated for 27 years, and during that time, he taught himself criminal law in prison to serve others inside as a paralegal, advocate, and organizer. Norris is the current executive director of VOTE, a nonprofit organization designed to educate, organize, and mobilize formerly incarcerated persons about their right to vote in Louisiana. Norris has had tremendous success in his work impacting public policy and public discourse about police accountability, public defense for poor and indigent people, and reforming the notorious Orleans Parish Prison. Norris, without further ado.
First of all, thank you. I was kind of standing in the back, and I was listening at everybody, and I was kind of started shadow boxing back there, It's like being in the dressing room, getting ready for a fight, and like, okay, you got to go out. Sooner or later, they're going to call you, you got to go out. And then when I started walking out, I remember I used to play music when I was a kid. I was in the band, and so I saw the stand. I was like, one or two things didn't happen. Either I forgot the sheet music or I left my instrument, one or the other. So, this is supposed to be about something radical, about how we see ourselves in this moment. And, I'm going to kind of like start off with something because, coming from a space, I stayed in prison a very long time in a male-dominated environment for almost 3 decades. And my second real job was I became a director of an organization, and everybody that worked for me was female. That was challenging. But so yesterday when I showed up, when you got to go, you got to go. And I asked somebody, where's the restroom? And they pointed to the door and they said, gender neutral. So I'm like, but the original sign on the door was women. I was like, okay, what this gonna look like, So anyway, I goes in, I had to go, So the day I show up, and I said, well, before you get started, make sure you take care of your business. And then I see a sign on the door say all inclusive. I say, damn, I done made it to Sandals. I'm on vacation, But on the real side, this moment is about how we show up and how we show up for each other in this moment. One of the things about being, kind of like having legal skills and knowing the power of what you can do with it is how do we pay it forward? What do we do with the skill set that we have acquired? And so for all the lawyers and the jailhouse lawyers, the law students, it's like the question to yourself is that how you show up in the morning. When you look in the mirror in the morning, what do you see? Do you see this pretty person, this beautiful, handsome person, this lovely, gorgeous person? Or do you see somebody who's really engaged and willing to commit of themselves to help other people? One of the things about acquiring skill sets is that you have to do something with it. It's like being, I'm a CPR instructor. But CPR is like, I can't perform CPR on myself. I learned that so I can do it for somebody else. So when you learn the law, it's for you being able to use this talent that you've acquired to the benefit of somebody else. One of my things is that service to humanity is the best work in life. And so how do we show up in these different moments? We have in that a critical moment right now. Things are happening, and we're responding to them. But the thing is, I was telling somebody as we were walking yesterday, is that I need to know where you're at in that critical moment. I don't need to be in battle with you walking, and then when I get to the line of, where the conflict is at, I look over my shoulder and you're not there. I need to know that you're going to be there with me. And so my biggest ask for everybody here is that how we show up. How we show up in these critical moments when things are happening all around us. But the other thing is that we can't be, and I tell people, kind of like twisted with people because of their position or their possessions. But at the same time, we got to meet people where they're at. We got to find people who are willing to do what they're capable of doing. We can't get mad with people who say, check this out, brother, this is as far as I can go. If they tell me that's as far as they can go, I got to accept that and respect that. The thing I'm saying is that don't walk here with me talking this talk, and then when I get you say, I got to go. So that's the whole thing about how we show up. When I mean showing up, that's what I mean by showing up. One of the things Michael said about when he's talking to that man in the mirror, I'm asking him to check himself, because if we don't check ourselves, we'll wreck ourselves. We always talk about leave the egos at the door, check the egos at the door, but somehow we seem to sneak them in our pocket and bring them in. Now, let's be honest. This is supposed to be about us being honest with each other. I've been blessed. I've been truly blessed. I'm not supposed to be here. I had a life sentence. I was serving life. And for the life of me, for years I couldn't figure out how did I get in this circumstance I found myself in. But I was there. But I took a bad situation and turned it into something good. I started kind of like figuring out, I learned the law by hook or crook, trying to figure out how to get myself out of prison. But before I found a way out for myself, I literally helped thousands of other people. And so that's what this is all about. This is about us coming together as a collective. We just left out of a regional caucus. And we had a call from some folk, from my neighbors to my left of me in Mississippi, about something that went down in that state. And they drove 18 hours to get you to kind of like make a call that they may need some help soon. So when I'm saying how we show up, well, we show up for those folks in Mississippi like we showed up in Ferguson, like we showed up in Baltimore, like we showed up in Oakland. So if we're talking about winning and how we win, I have a very simple formula about how we win. Very simple. And that is we've got to be willing to fight one day longer than our opposition. It's simple. It's simple. It's not a complicated thing. It's that we got to be willing to fight one day longer than them. And so when we think about that, just envision that. You're in the fight. I'm a boxing fanatic. And I remember Frazier and Ali, the Thrill in Manila. And I can hear Boudini Brown all night long, champ, all night long. But I'm looking at the expression on Ali's face. It's like, I'm just steady hitting Joe, and Joe ain't going nowhere. Joe's steady coming. Joe was steady willing to fight. In the 15th round, Ali admits that, you know what? I don't know if I can go any farther. I don't know if I can go any farther. And truth be told, he didn't want to continue to fight. But at that moment, Joe quit on the other side of the ring. They threw in the towel. Ali didn't even know. He's kind of like contemplating, I don't know if I can go back out there. But Angelo Dundee looked over his shoulder and he saw that Joe and him had threw the towel up and he forced Ali to get up. Because the other thing, if we can look up, we can get up. And that's what this whole thing is about, man. If we can get up, look up, we can get up. So we have to kind of like use all this energy. And I'm kind of like late to the organizing one-on-one. We didn't organize one-on-one in prison. Organizing in prison is a no-no. You organize in prison, you find yourself fast train moving somewhere in the wrong direction. But we found a way to do it. But we done it spontaneously. Shit happened, somebody responded to it. And that's what's starting to happen across this country now. Shit is happening, people responding to it. Now we're trying to do it in a more organized way that when shit happens, we have a group of lawyers already standing, waiting, that we are passing through the jail. We're not spending the night. In the old days, they spent the night in jail because the lawyer was trying to figure out what to do. We know what to do now. We need to have bail money, and we need to have somebody right there advising somebody of what their rights are. Don't say nothing. This is my client. And he goes in and passes it back out so we can get right back on the front line. That's how we build this army. If we want to build an army, that's how we're going to build it. We build it one soldier at a time. And the thing about it is, we can't kind of like get mad at the soldiers. One of our experiences inside when we was organizing, there were some brothers inside couldn't read and write. Their contribution to our movement was they stuffed envelopes and licked them and put stamps on them. So imagine in a prison where you got 5,000 people sending out 10,000 pieces of mail, that you got a handful of people folding and licking envelopes and licking stamps. Nobody else wanted to do it, but they took on the task of doing it. So there's a role for everybody in this fight. Everybody. And I say this because to the generals, you know, for the generals, those folks, some self-anointed, you know, generals, and some of us who have kind of like lifted people up to be, no, I'm being real. And for some of us who have lifted up to be the generals. The greatest strength of the general is not during the battle. It's in the first few minutes after. Because you got to find something to say to get those troops back out there on the battlefield and keep them fighting. So when you take on this leadership position, be anointed or, you know, whatever, think about that. And think about the impact that your decisions have on the lives of all the people you're asking to follow. Because sometimes we make selfish decisions about, you know, and I tell people all the time, when people say, man, we might go to jail. Well, jail don't scare me. I haven't been there. Jail don't scare me. But for the person standing next to me, that might be a horrific experience for that person. I have to value that person's opinion and feeling and position. So I can't get upset with this person. This person says, like, I cannot afford to go to jail. I got to respect that. And so at the end of the day, all I'm saying is that, man, we have a moment in front of us that if we do the right thing with it, man, we can accomplish so many things, so many great things. And so my final acts of everybody in the room is that when we look in that mirror in the morning, that we bring our whole self. That we bring our whole self. You know who you are better. I just tell people all the time, you know you better than I know you. You know what you're capable of doing. You know how much commitment you're going to give. Because inside, you know, all you have inside is loyalty and commitment. That's all you have. You don't have no cash to pay for this and pay for that. Your face takes you everywhere you need to go inside. Your face and your reputation for packing fair with people. And if we learn to pack fair with each other, just like we have people in this room from all over the country. You know, I'm kind of like one of these guys whose brains start doing stuff and I don't know what to do with it when you start doing that. I came here early this morning. I think I was one of the first or second people in here. And I sit down and I counted the chairs. Go figure. Go figure. I was just sitting down and saw 10 rows here, 10 rows deep. Oh, that's 100. Damn, they got that's 600 people going to fill up this room. This is a lot. This is a critical mass of people. A critical mass of people with real skills. Real skills. We got organizers. We have advocates. We have attorneys. We have law students. But what do we do with it? What do we do with this? And the test of this is going to be when we leave here, today, tomorrow, the next day, and for those who live in New York, what do we do with this moment? How do we continue to stay connected to each other so that we don't always show up when it's critical? We don't always show up when there's a Trayvon Martin or Mike Brown or Freddie Gray. We have to continue to show up for each other all the time. I get tired of going to funerals. I'm in a place where we lead the nation per capita incarceration. And if that was the solution, I don't think we would be leading the nation in crime. But those things are on the same parallel track. Well, that tells me something is wrong with this picture. But the thing is that we are in a position, and I always say we inclusive because I'm either part of the shit going right or I'm a part of it not doing what it's supposed to do. But we have to kind of like take on the onus of saying, if it's to be, it starts with me. I'd like everybody just to repeat that. If it's to be, it starts with me. Now just think about what you're saying. Now you've made a commitment to yourself. You've just made a covenant with yourself that if anything's supposed to change, it starts with you. So if it's not moving, blame yourself.
It's really what's going on today. That you know, and that hate thing about color and everything, you know, it does no good for me to hate. Because when I see Matt or I see other folks that's helping, you know, it's amazing that you're gonna need that help. So if I got that hatred in my heart, I can't allow God to really do what He want to do, because I'm messed up with Matt because he white. You know, and realizing sometimes Matt going through some shit too.
Right.
Okay?
Absolutely.
And you have to really realize that, man.
And he's the prayer that you've been asking for. He's the message that you've been waiting on.
Yeah, you know, because then when we see, when I was at the Capitol the other weekend, we were standing on the steps about Lil Jeff and Donald Duck, and I'm looking at what's there. I'm saying, man, we got a lot of work to do. We got to start all over.
From scratch.
Yeah.
From scratch,
Yeah.
literally. From scratch.
What I struggle with, and I pray for my enemies, I pray for people every day.
Yeah.
Whole world, every day.
I got you, yeah.
Okay. It's a difference between not having hate in your heart towards somebody, but you can still hold them accountable.
And that's,
Oh, yeah. Supposed to.
yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
That's just like if you have children. You hold them accountable for the things they do. You don't hate them. You still love them. You still take care of them. But when they do stuff that they're not supposed to be doing, you're going to correct them, right? You're going to call, be like, hold up. Wait a minute. You're going to call them out.
Yeah.
We supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's like Norris and all of us say all the time is, I'm on the menu today, but guess what? Matt on the menu just end up in tomorrow. And when we saw all this breakdown and shut the government down, we saw folks that's in the military in the food line. You talking about people that got jobs.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine from Washington, D.C. told me, he said, when they laid off those 1,500 staff members in the FBI, he said, hey, Chico, let me tell you this here. Wasn't but a few of us sprinkled in there. He said, but them folks got house notes, card notes, kids in school. So now I'm on the menu, but now you on the menu.
Yeah.
So when you start feeling that, you realize, hold up, this son of a bitch here, he ain't helping me. He done laid me off. And then he did something slick. He gives some people a $10,000 bonus. But if you miss work and whatever, they got people that was doing 2 jobs, man, driving an Uber at night to try to feed their family.
They had this one dude, he was in aviation. He drove planes. And he was doing DoorDash.
Yeah.
Ain't no
Yeah,
way.
yeah, but just to try to make ends meet, because then you ain't getting no paycheck for a month.
Right.
So now your kids in school,
And your
so your
bills
wife
are-
now got to give whatever she doing up to stay with the children. You got to hustle on
And
the
they,
side.
none of them was getting snapped.
Yeah,
That's what that's what I figure, you know, we supposed to have a leader that is there to solve problems. He has a team.
He causes
He has to
problems.
delegate a team to help him solve problems. And in order to do that, you have to have a well-rounded team, right? To help you solutionize. And for him, so I was thinking, for him to punish people for not showing up to work without understanding, if I can't go to work, my child can't go to daycare. I gotta stay home with my child.
and don't talk about the cost of daycare.
Yeah, because
Cause I got a little niece in my family. I know what that costs. That costs money.
so they got punished for staying home
About
to keep their
$300
child safe
$300 a week.
Yeah, yeah.
and didn't get
She's paying close to $1,500 a month for daycare.
for taking care of
That's a job.
And CPS say if you do leave your child by itself, that's child endangerment, child neglect, child abuse. They
Oh,
can
yeah.
take it. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
just work to stay home with your child because you can't go to daycare, and so you don't get a $10,000 bonus.
I think about,
You know, it's crazy, bro.
Sway, what you said, right? Like, why do they hate us? But then also you said, right?
Hello, Acadiana, and welcome to another episode of From Chains to Change. And I am Marcus Chachi Simmons, and I'm here with my co-worker.
Hi everyone, I'm Consuela Gaines, better known as Sway.
And also the infamous Ronald Marshall, our policy guy. Ronald, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, my name is Ronald Marshall, policy person here at Voice of the Experience in the New Orleans chapter, and I'm happy to be here to give y'all my legislative debrief.
So I know you guys probably saying he looks familiar. That's because he's been on the show a few times, but it's because he's so informative. I don't know where our organization would be as far as understanding of the law and legal issues if it wasn't for this king right here. So take it over, Sway.
For sure. And again, welcome back, Ronald. We always look forward to you joining our calls with us. We much rather you in person, but we'll take this virtual because I know you got a lot on your plate in New Orleans right now. A lot's going on. Vote hands are in a lot of things, protected class and all that good stuff. So I know you're busy, bro, but thank you for this few minutes that we have with you for today. So the legislative session. Um, oh my goodness. I read a lot of bills, but I stopped reading because none of them were good. Um, so can you just provide us with an update? What has been going on in the legislative session as regards to criminal justice? You know, this vote does this criminal justice reform, and we realize that a lot of bills are rolling back some of the things that we were able to push and get past over the years. And now they're trying to just kind of unravel a lot of our work. So, what's going on in the legislative session, Ronald?
Yes, so hey everybody, this session has returned to what is called the days of incapacitation. There was a time in Louisiana prior to the Justice Investment Initiatives in 2017 where every law that was passed was about punishing people and incapacitating them and banishing them from society. And sad to say that this 2025 legislative agenda and administration, as well as the 2024, 2025, 2024 last year, right? The crime session last year, right? Or was it this year? Was the crime session this
It
year?
was last year.
It was last year, right? So the crime session was the worst. But this 2025 session, what it's doing is basically coming back to pick up some loose ends or tie up some loose ends in their punitive scheme. All the bad bills are rolling right on through, not just in criminal justice, but in education, housing, insurance, you name it. All the bad bills that make it harder for everyday working people are rolling right on through. And some of the good bills that we have been monitoring from the criminal justice perspective have been getting denied, have been failing by the wayside in these committees. And I'll start with Senate Bill 218. Senate Bill 218, we had a lot of hope that this would be the year that many of our incarcerated brothers and sisters who are still serving time under what is called a non-unanimous Jim Crow jury conviction would receive some remedy at law as a result of Senate Bill 218. But unfortunately, last week, that bill died on the Senate floor. It could not get the votes. 27-9, I believe, was the tally score. Royce Duplessis did an amazing, extraordinary job. I tilt my hat to Senator Royce Duplessis. He's a true champion in his work, in his movement, and every time I acknowledge him, I give him much respect. Moving right along.
So, but Ronald, Ronald, before going further, I think it's important to point out to the people, because now a lot of people don't keep up, that this bill was ruled unconstitutional. The actual act of the unanimous jury.
Yes, in 2018, the United States Supreme Court said, hey, non-unanimous jury convictions are unconstitutional in the United States of America. However, what the Supreme Court did is said, okay, but we're not going to fix it. We're going to allow the state of Louisiana to fix it themselves. So we went to the Louisiana Supreme Court, and they said no. And since 2018, we've been going back and forth to the Louisiana legislators, asking them to do what the court deemed unconstitutional in 2018. Here we are 7 years later, and approximately 1,300 incarcerated people who were convicted prior to the unconstitutional ruling are currently still serving a sentence under unconstitutional convictions, which is the reason why Senate Bill 218 was our rallying cry. We fighting for the brothers and sisters who are still serving their time.